In this episode, I'm going to talk about the Emerald Tablet by Hermes Trismegistus, Hermes the thrice greatest. The Emerald Tablet, over the many, many years, we have basically Xerox copies of what they claim was there. And it was a very short document. As above, so below. As below, so above. That's a very powerful statement. Entire magical orders, societies, use that as their focal point and core belief on how magic works, how mystical abilities in the occult and different realms of existence are all stemmed from the below. Earth is connected, permanently interconnected with the above, the heavens. The Emerald Tablet reminds me, at least that specific statement, as above, so below. I know of a surety that the heavens are connected to the earth and the earth is connected to the heavens. Not on some flat earth conspiracy BS realm, not on some biblical realm, or perhaps, most definitely, whatsoever is bound on earth is bound in heaven. I believe that is in the Bible. So, most definitely, that would be totally connected to as above, so below. But you can switch it up, as below, so above. I'm sure people like Aleister Crowley really tried to push the boundaries of as below, so above. Tried to actually change the heavens by dramatically doing anything in his power to break any and every rule. Crowley was raised in a Christian church. Very common, happens to many people. Decided he was very much against it. He joined the old Hermetic orders of this and that. Speaking of Hermetic orders, Hermes Trismegistus, whether he existed or not, was obviously a great influence to many different groups. Golden Dawn is who I'm talking about, the Golden Dawn. And the Golden Dawn wasn't edgy enough for Crowley, so he started his own thing, and we know what happened there. He actually died penniless, but he tried to break every rule in the book, almost out of spite and grudge, out of magic, and wanting to prove the power that a human can conjure from the heavens or from hell. He wanted to prove any and all of it, to the point where I see people quote him as if it's gospel. Now, I'm not going to quote him as if he's gospel. I'm using him as an example. And I said the other day, the mindset of an evil spirit is to break the rules constantly. Or, mythologically speaking, the devil on your shoulder trying to get you to break every rule under the book. But demons, evil spirit is, as I said a few days ago on Twitter, and follow me on Twitter, Razimus at Twitter. I'm not particularly entertaining. I'm not particularly funny or witty or interesting. But that's my Twitter. I said that demons bend the rules to show themselves to me. That sounds almost like something an insane person walking down the street talking to themselves would say. And I understand the perspective. I get backhanded compliments all the time. It might be one of the reasons why I don't make tons of videos. Because for every compliment I get, I probably equally get 50% a backhanded compliment. And then on top of that, I'll get just full-blown negativity, just shoved, negativity shoved. When you showcase even the smidge of something, People want to control you. They want to take it away. They want to take it over. I don't have an angle. I just want to share what I know. As above, so below. As below, so above. I know of a surety that we can do things on this planet Earth, and they can affect the higher dimensions. But it's because of the nature of the dimension we're on, the 3rd/4th dimension, the physical 3rd dimension. You can't move in it or even occupy 3D space in it without also being in the 4th dimension. But the 3rd dimension. As far as my perspective, hell on hell. Where is hell? What is hell? I'll tell you this much. Hell is above, not below. The demonic realms of the flaming fires of hell are above us humans, in a higher dimension, not below us inside of the core of the earth. Below us inside of the core of the earth is simply the core of the earth. There isn't any secret underworld. There's no hollow earth. There's nothing inside of the earth other than buried people, buried dinosaurs, buried millions of years, billions of years of buried, and then you got a core with all this lava and magma going on. All volcanoes are real. One of the funniest things I've seen concerning the flat earth ding-dongs is you got to understand the mentality of the flat earther. They don't believe in anything. I understand if you see a news network that leans left or leans right, and you're going to say, I don't trust this channel, I trust this channel. Or you're going to say, I don't trust any channels. I understand that mindset. But to go into the realm of I don't believe volcanoes exist, that's someone that doesn't get out of their house and walk to Pompeii. That's someone that doesn't get out of their house and go to Hawaii. Perhaps they don't have the means to go on a trip to Hawaii. I've never been to Hawaii, but I know Hawaii exists. I've never been to Hawaii, but I believe in the National Geographic photos and videos of the natural splendorous beauty of the volcanoes shooting out lava and flowing magma. And how you're not supposed to take a rock, it'll curse you. I don't know about that curse thing, but I do not take, I jump off on tangents here, I don't take objects from places I investigate or visit on vacation. I don't take anything. Leave things as pristine, if not better. Clean up after yourself. So what can we do that can affect hell or heaven? See, hell, just because hell is above us in a dimension above, it doesn't mean there isn't a heaven way, a nirvana way above that. There are many dimensions, not too many dimensions above us, perhaps one or two, resides hell. And I think when humans die, I believe when humans die, we ascend above that hellish dimension. Now, a lot of people say hell is right here, that the horrific things we go through are hellish, most definitely. Not only do we live in a hellish world with paradise mixed in, the evil spirits in hell, in the dimension slightly above us, they look down and they see a physical hell. They're in a spiritual hell. Down here is close to a physical hell, or it can be. The chances of a physical hell can only exist in a physical dimension, and here it is. I kind of sometimes see the horrible things that happen on Earth as we live in the crock pot of chaos where anything can happen. No restrictions, no holds barred, full WrestleMania, except you can throw in some horrible deranged people that don't want to wrestle. They want to annihilate and extinct and terminate. And that's why we live in a hellish physical dimension. but it's not hell. Hell is a spiritual dimension, slightly above us, not below us. People that don't understand the dimensions will say that hell is below us, no matter what. Wickedness in high places. Evil spirits in high places. They're not physically on a mountain. They're spiritually and physically, if you will, in a higher dimension. Hell is above, not below. But I do believe evil spirits are so pompous in their personalities that I would most definitely believe that they possibly do hang out on the mountain tops for the singular reason of,
I'm above all of you idiot humans.
One thing evil spirits hate about humans is we have the ability to ascend and transcend and go above them. Ascend higher into the nirvana, dimensions of peace and purpose, and we can achieve greater things than they could ever achieve. And it's one of the reasons they're going to hate us with a passion. So most definitely some of these evil, wicked people that do evil, wicked things, sure, some of them can be inspired by evil spirits, if not all of them. But you can't fall into the scapegoat mentality. You can't say, oh, the devil made me do it. The devil made me do it. No one can get away with that. Doesn't matter what your religion is. You're still going straight to prison if you commit a horrible crime. But if you want to focus on spirituality, spirits exist. Spirituality isn't putting up a 3D poster and taking some substances to have it make some cool designs and going to a rave and partying it up and saying, I'm spiritual. That's not what spiritual is, but you might get into some transcendental state and confuse it with true spirituality. Hermes Trismegistus. Interesting guy. Don't know if he ever existed. But I do know, as above, so below, is true information. You can see and perceive and pierce the veil and see beyond the dimensions and actually see. But only but a glimpse. Mortal humans aren't allowed to see much. I once saw a mortal human claim they know all the secrets of the pyramids. They know all the secrets of this, all the secrets of that. And they were a psychic on TV, and they were cold reading. And perhaps at one point in time in their life, they had some psychic ability. And perhaps they lost it. Perhaps they were reduced to cold reading, or perhaps they always were cold readers. Fabricators, liars, illusionists. I do believe everyone is born with a spiritual gift. Some people can be attributed to and called psychic abilities. It doesn't mean they're a fraud or a fake. They might actually have that. I get glimpses all the time. I have bizarre dreams. More recently than when I was younger. When I was younger, I would have few and far between. One memorable dream, one dream I could remember a year, and he was something boring, like me flying like Superman. You know, that's cool, flying like Superman. My most recent dream was I was looking at a radio, and it was very strange. It was like an alien radio. I guess you could say it looked more like a movie prop, like a non-existent radio. Instead of a number for 97.5, it would have a picture. Maybe the type of radio the Predator would use in a Predator movie. I don't know, but it was interesting radio. And I was turning it, and it was normal in the dream. Everything in the dream was normal. I didn't know it was a dream, but he was pretty lucid, but I wasn't lucid enough to know I was dreaming. What I mean is the colors were bright. I was standing in the street, and I had a camera in one hand and a radio in the other hand. I think the camera was in a tiny suitcase. Maybe I was ghost investigating. I don't know. But it was an unknown foreign street I'd never been to. And all of a sudden, David Bowie shows up a good 100 feet away from me. And the crowd kind of mobs him. And they say, "Hey, it's David Bowie." And I turn and I look. And David Bowie's on his knees. David Bowie is on his knees, facing away from me. And then someone in the crowd says, "Oh, he's going to have a impromptu concert at this local pub." And David Bowie walks to the pub on his knees. Very striking, very unusual. David Bowie was wearing like a satin maroon jacket with matching satin maroon pants. And I think there was a design on the back of his jacket. I couldn't catch what it was. It kind of had the feeling of like a Chinese design. So David Bowie walked on his knees to the concert, and someone said he's going to perform the whole concert on his knees. And I was like, wow, that's weird. It's unusual. I get to the concert. David Bowie's backstage, I assumed the whole time. I never saw him other than that one time. And he did turn, and he looked like a younger Bowie. He looked like in his 30s, maybe 40s Bowie. He looked pretty good. He looked pretty young. And that was normal. And him being alive, normal. In the dream, I didn't question anything. In a dream, everything's like like a free-flowing. You just accept everything. I sit down. The row's empty. Front row, I sit down. Now, there's a row in front of me, I believe, of like photographers or the press or something. But I'm in the front, general audience, front row. And I sit down, and everyone sits down. And there are people to the left of me, people to the right to me. There's like admission behind me. And there's a guy checking for tickets. And I didn't buy a ticket, I just walked in. So I'm kind of freaking out. I'm like, oh crud, I didn't buy a ticket. He's like, tickets please, tickets please. And he asks me for a ticket. Everyone hands him like a white ticket out of nowhere. And I say, I heard about this concert. I just walked right on in, and I heard he's going to perform it on his knees. And that was enough information for the ticket guy. He's like, okay, and he walked away. And the guy to the left of me and the guy to the right of me, and maybe even 2, 3 to the left of me, 2, 3 to the right of me, and then the people to the back of me, they all started harassing me. They started kind of clawing at me, cursing at me, calling me names. And I had the impression they were demons, not humans. They looked like regular people, but they definitely acted like demons. And then the guy to the left of me says, "You're Edward Snowden." And I was like, I don't look anything like Edward Snowden. And they still made fun of me. And that's the end of the dream. That's it. Perhaps it became too unbelievable at that moment. I realized this is fake. And maybe I woke up or started to get out of that REM state. That was the last dream I had. It definitely had the resemblance to a demon dream. I call them demon dreams. A demon dream is when a character in your dream starts to automatically turn demonic, starts to automatically be evil and hateful. And that's the hallmark, the red flag to me, that he was probably a dream constructed by a demon. So why would the demons put David Bowie on his knees? I don't know. It doesn't seem too complex. It could probably be figured out. Some dreams are way complex, but David Bowie on his knees. He talks about in his last single, Black Star, from his last album, Black Star, he talks about only women kneel during the event where someone dies and they are taken over by someone else. That song perhaps was David Bowie mentioning how he's a black star. He's holding up the fort. He is the pinnacle achievement of his position, and he's going to have to pass it on to a future musician. And when the death happens and his spirit steps aside, and another took his place. He proudly cried, "I'm a black star, I'm a black star." And women kneeled, and so that's the only kneeling I can think of concerning Bowie. I'm trying to think, why would Bowie be kneeling? I don't think there's too much meaning and depth to it. I think it's just a demon that knew I'm a fan of Bowie, and they're trying to throw in some mockery of Bowie in the dream. It's hard to say. It's interesting thought of a musician performing for fellow spirits in the next dimension. I'm not sure if musicians are going to be performing. Hell is above, but human world of the beyond is above the spiritual hell of the evil spirits. I don't think humans can become demons. I see them as a totally separate chunk of the firmament, if you want to call it that, of the membranes of the dimensions. That they serve their own purpose. I don't know the answers to everything. I wouldn't claim to. Are we going to see dinosaur ghosts on the other side? I doubt it, but it'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool. You can transport yourself to another dimension by focusing on a sigil. I've never done this purposefully, only accidentally. Perhaps a couple times. The most memorable time would have been back in 2002. I opened up a book. There was a drawing, an illustration, a sigil. I looked at it out of nothing but curiosity. I was just looking at it. I was like, what does this mean? And I looked at it, and I kind of blurred my eyes, and I looked at it with blurry eyes. And I could understand it better with blurry eyes. And it started to jump out at me. And my mind, my consciousness started shifting. Perhaps shifting to understand it. And it freaked me out so much, I closed the book and walked away. But I do believe if you focus on a drawing, an illustration, a sigil, you can have your understanding unlocked. Perhaps with such methods. I'll try it again. I'll share with you perhaps in the future what drawing it was, but I'd rather not right now. It's very interesting, very fascinating thing. I don't practice magic. I'm not an occultist, but I understand the word occult simply means hidden. And some occult things are good. Some occult things are bad. The occult is just the hidden things. You could say occult light, UV lights from the sun. Occult lights from the sun, they're not automatically evil. We just can't see them. We don't have the spectrum of our eyes being able to see. Speaking of the spectrum of our eyes, I recently acquired 2 cameras. Panasonic HX-A1M. I acquired 2 of them, and I got them on credit. I still got to pay them off. I'm not rich. I'm not a rich person. I just tend to put my priorities on things differently than others. And if I'm ghost investigating, I want to have equipment that works. I want to have 3 cameras from 3 angles in pure night vision, in pure infrared spectrum. And these can do it. Look how small these are. These are so tiny. I've only used them to test them to see if they work. I've never used them on an investigation yet. But let me show you how small they are. They are very small. The Panasonic HX-A1M. I'm not selling it. I'm not advertising. This is from 2015. Supposedly outdated old technology, right? Well, it's lighter weight and higher quality than any 2019 GoPro you'll ever see. Concerning infrared night vision, it comes with an optional infrared lens cover, which I put on both of these because that's the only reason I'm going to use them, is in the pitchiness of the blackness of the dark night. And I have a couple infrared flashlights, but I'm probably going to buy a couple more. I'm probably going to permanently affix a flashlight to this camera so it never doesn't have a beam of infrared light, an IR light. Because yes, without an infrared light, it can't see anything. It needs that infrared light. Standard on all security system cameras. So if you want to, go in a parking lot and steal some grease, I heard there's a theft of grease. Interesting. They're going to catch you. And those security cameras can see you in full pitchness of black. And I was considering getting a security camera, like a car security camera. That would be even cheaper than that. I got this, it's closer to a police body cam. Some doctors use it on operations. I'm going to use it to find evidence of spirits. I've already had some pretty good captures with infrared in the middle of the night. Full spectrum I haven't had any luck with yet. Some people have luck with full spectrum. If that works for you, go for it. I personally haven't had any luck with full spectrum. I think full spectrum lets a lot of light in, whereas infrared only lets in a certain amount. So you need that infrared flashlight to illuminate. And once you have the right infrared flashlight to illuminate, you can see everything as clear as day. The quality is full real HD. This is not a commercial. Just when I go back to a haunted location, I'm going to put one on a tripod, another on a tripod. I'll walk around with my main camera, which is this one, and I'll have 3 angles. And if anything happens, if anything amazing takes place, I'll have 3 angles of that amazing thing. There's a particularly cooperative spirit at the grist mill. I know I'm still editing. You're probably wondering, what is this video and where are the videos you're editing? Editing takes thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years. I basically have to throw away my entire weekend and edit for the entire weekend. And that's such a huge sacrifice that I've only done it in chunks the past 3 weeks, only in chunks. I've only thrown away 2-3 hours here, 4 or 5 hours there, and it's not enough. A video that I'm working on might take 10-20 hours, 30-40 hours of editing. That's a lot of time, and I don't have a Hollywood budget. I don't have a professional editor to help me out, but I am going to be releasing those videos I've been talking about. But I just wanted to share with you that hell is above, but they can see us, and don't be afraid of the dark. Don't be afraid of spirits. Even the spirits I suspect are demons, evil spirits. As long as you stay strong in your convictions, stay strong in your beliefs, stay strong in just the belief in even of just yourself. I was poltergeist haunted. Excuse me, I need some water, but I was poltergeist haunted. I've said this thousands of times, I don't need to elaborate. I watched hundreds, if not 1,000 plus objects fall off my shelves, knocked off my shelves, pillows sat on. I actually saw it with my own 2 eyes. I watched as poltergeist, evil spirit demons, they moved the stuff in my room in the year 2011. I'm over it for the most part. Sure, I still have questions. Sure, I still might have issues with the fact that planet Earth and every populated city on planet Earth rejects the concept of evil spirits being able to move objects, let alone existing. So there's the boundary of, I've said this a few times before, I'll say it again. The worst part about witnessing poltergeist activity for 6 months in a row in a haunted room you rented. Whether it's a week straight, a day, other people experience different amounts. I'm sure some people have experienced it for 10 years straight, and they keep their mouth shut. They're quiet on the subject. As for me, I'm a loudmouth. So, even worse than being demon oppressed, harassed, I guess would be possessed. I don't believe I was ever possessed. But what's worse than experiencing these horrific things I've experienced is talking about them. and then the reaction being a unanimous, you're an effing moron. That's being told you're a moron countless times by idiots that know jack crap on the subject. That's almost as bad as witnessing the poltergeist activity itself, because you're trying to help mankind of the human race, and they're like, it's fake. We don't need help on that subject. That's not real. So I almost sometimes hope in a mythological Ghostbusters scenario where hell breaks loose and poltergeist activity happens every single day to millions of people. Because then I could say, hey, here's how you cope with it. Here's how you deal with it. Here's how you get rid of it. Here's how you don't let it bother you. You don't let it take over your life. But that's selfish. That's a selfish thought. So perhaps it's good that only a few and far between have witnessed it. Usually it's like a token ghost story that people can laugh about. As for me, I was utterly, horrifically, nightmarishly, horror movie style oppressed demonically to an extreme degree for 6 months. And it seems the universe allowed that to happen. The rules that keep that from happening to everyone were bent for me. I'm sure they were bent for thousands of other people. But on a population of whatever we have, 7, 8 billion people on the planet, a few thousand is a very small percentage. I don't know what the percentage is, but when I see the CCTV security cam footage at a bar and the poltergeist knocks the glass off and it breaks, even I put it in quotes because even I don't know if that's real. All I know is what I experience is real. I've acquired this collection of books. I've acquired this collection of occult books for the singular purpose of researching anything anyone can possibly tell me in the ancient wisdom of the past. What they knew, what they know about poltergeist activity, evil spirits, demons. I constructed this set in the corner of my room for the singular purpose of a corners of rooms experiment, because the demon poltergeists that harassed me in 2011 manifested in the corner of my room every single day for over 160 days in a row. And so this is a result of my poltergeist harassment. This is a result of my poltergeist harassment. The demon spirits that harassed me know this is the case. They know it's true. Perhaps one day I can have peace. Perhaps that day is tomorrow. Tomorrowland. I don't claim to know everything. I don't claim to know hoot squat. But what I do claim to know is what I've witnessed and experienced firsthand. Poltergeist activity is real. It's the real deal. Hell is above. How do I know? I know. You got to understand. I was roommates with 2 demon poltergeists, which, yes, for the most part, I thought were one. It was 2 pretending to be one. They were like tag teaming. Little tag teaming jester, little demon sprite, imp spirit demons with the ability to move objects enough where they could sit on a pillow and I could see the impression on the pillow. Enough where I put up a green screen near the corner and they yanked it down and the pins flew in my face. I pinned it up again and it happened again. I've told these stories time and time again. They spun the wheel on my luggage under my bed. They definitely had a playful, menacing, almost a Chucky vibe. Like if he was an invisible Chucky. Kind of freaky. I'm not going to obsess and talk about it forever. There's going to be a day when I cease to talk about it ever again. There's going to be a day when I cease to have the inclination to upload because of the extreme mockery. Every time I get a compliment, I'll get a backhanded compliment and an insult. It's about that. Out of 3 comments, usually 1 is a compliment, 1 is a backhanded compliment, 1 is an insult. That's pretty standard the past 10 years on YouTube. Pretty standard. I'd say I don't have too many peers on YouTube. I don't have too many peers, but I hope to find some. I hope to find some peers. I know Brandon Young is a great supporter of the channel. Freethinker Silver is a great supporter of the channel. I have a lot of Patreon patrons that support the channel here and there when they can. I greatly appreciate it. Patreon.com/Razimus. We have PayPal donators. They're like, you know what? I don't like the setup of Patreon. I just want to donate directly. You can donate any way you feel. It helps the channel. It helps motivate me. PayPal.me/Razimus is my PayPal. Twitter is @Razimus on Twitter. This is YouTube.com/HoaxHunter. I do bust hoaxes. When I busted hoaxes, I would shatter people's dreams because they worshipped those hoaxes. Believe it or not, you shatter an urban legend, you say that's fake. It's the equivalent of going to a magic show. It's like going to a magic show in Las Vegas. And you're sitting front row, and the guy next to you was like, oh, this is amazing. He's levitating. What? He's walking up the walls. This is awesome. And I'm a big fan of Chris Angel's illusions. I think he's a very talented magician. But when you debunk a hoax, it's the equivalent of going front row, magic show, and you're sitting next to the guy who's like really stoked on it, and you turn to him and you say, that's fake. Here's how he does it. See the strings, see the levers, see the poles and the mirrors and the smoke. That guy's going to turn to you and say, F off, dude. F you. I'm here for a show, for a good time. I actually enjoy this. Maybe that's not the best analogy in the world, but that was the reaction I would get 9 times out of 10. Very thankless job when you debunk a hoax. And I'm still open to debunking hoaxes all day and all night. I just watched a movie, Masters of the Universe, 1987. Yeah, I found a reference to a ripoff of Adam Sandler's movie Little Nicky. Exactly matches the demons eating the chicken scene is from the 1987 movie, Masters of the Universe. And in the year 2000, Adam Sandler's writers, or whoever wrote that scene, took it straight from the 1987 movie. But there's another aspect to that 1987 movie based on the He-Man cartoons and action figures, Masters of the Universe. There's a scene in that movie which exactly mirrors something Preston B. Nichols mentioned in the Montauk Project book. I think it's dated 1992. So I know for a fact Preston B. Nichols watched that movie. It's a sci-fi movie, sci-fi elements. Preston B. Nichols watched it, incorporated it into the Montauk Project book. So we have Masters of the Universe. We have Forbidden Planet, the Beast. Look for the Beast in Forbidden Planet. It's the same beast, and it's the beast that inspired the Beast in the Montauk Project books. Masters of the Universe 1987, it's the most recent one I found. You'll have to see for yourself. If you can tell me what it is, I'll know at least you read the book and watched the movie. I will make an entire video detailing the rest of the connections. But just wanted to make a video, wanted to make an update. I am working on some projects. I am planning on using this to an extreme degree, capturing more evidence. Something comes to mind. There's a guy at the Comedy Store, a total D-bag, a totally rude person, nice to my face, mean behind my back. He told me he slept at the Comedy Store. And he didn't see no ghosts. If you sleep one night at a haunted location and you don't see no ghosts, it doesn't prove anything, all right? It doesn't prove anything. First of all, ghost investigating, chances of finding a ghost and seeing a ghost is a lot less than not. Most likely you're going to see and capture nothing. And if you see a ghost show where they dramatize, did you feel that? Did you sense that? Do you feel weird? Do you feel moist, damp, dry? Is your heart palpitations at the normal level? Is it, huh? They gotta do that because of the what if nothing happens? The entire investigation, nothing. They at least gotta have something to show that. At least I felt weird when I was there. We don't have any evidence, but I felt weird. As for me, I have a pretty good record. It's a pretty good record. It's almost too good. I would say with my equipment I have, it's easily 50%. I'm easily 50% of the time I investigate, it's successful. From my perspective, I capture something paranormal, unknown, of a ghost-like nature, supernatural, 50% of the time. That's a little bit too high. It's almost as if my equipment is haunted, but as many people have said, and Zach Bagans even has a book, The Leader of Ghost Adventures, I'm haunted. And most definitely, am I haunted? Probably. Even during talking, I've heard creaks in this corner over here. I'm not going to put a camera over there. Not going to give much notice or care for it. I'm not investigating right now. I'm just talking off the top of my head. But stay tuned. More episodes coming soon. I thank you for indulging me watching this channel. We need success. We need to grow. Mysterialis Ghost Investigation is full steam ahead. I'm going to go on a couple trips. Maybe they're ghost related, maybe not. But of course I'm going to bring some of my equipment. And even though it's not ghost related, perhaps I'll try to sneak some ghost investigating. We will see. I'm going to continue to edit. A lot of work is ahead of me, but I plan to edit and show you the full 2-hour documentary of the Grist Mill. All 4 nights were successful, all 4, in varying degrees. Some more successful than others, but the spirit definitely showed itself all 4, which is even unusual for me. Like I have about a 50-50. When I go out, nothing. I go out the next day, something. It's that high of a rate for me. I think it's because I'm haunted in and of itself. But 100%, 4 times in a row, is unusually high. I want to bring a second person out there, not to mention these 2 and that. We have 3 cameras. Maybe one day I'll move close to the location. I don't know, but I grew up near the location. And if there's a skulking spirit living there, it would know that I grew up close to the location. Perhaps it noticed me few and far between the past number of years. Maybe that's why it opened up to me enough to set off my equipment every single time. I would be willing to bring skeptics there, but that guy who spent one night at the Comedy Store and said, I didn't see no ghosts, he's an atheist. He's a die-hard, God doesn't exist, spirits don't exist, ghosts don't exist, super, mega, ultra Hollywood, nothing exists type of individual. And even if there were footsteps in the floor above, he would have rationalized it away. But I can tell you this, before I investigated ghosts, I wasn't looking for ghosts everywhere. And I still am not. Only when I have the equipment and I'm ready to go do I actively look for ghosts. And that's when ghosts do tend to react. Ghosts will react to your existence, to your awareness, to what you're seeking. It's not only ghosts, it's anything in life. One time I was looking for an obscure phone for a skit for YouTube. And I found this phone at the thrift store. Perfect for the skit. I found this phone I didn't even know this phone existed. I looked it up. This phone basically doesn't exist. You can't find it except for a few and far between. I was looking for this style phone, and within a week, within 7 days, I found it. I've looked for years for a second one, and I found a second one. I found a second one that's in black. So I found this one after looking for 1 week. And then I looked on the internet for years, and I found a second one. That's how rare these phones are. They're not exactly the Prisoner phone. I'm a huge fan of the Prisoner. I wanted a Prisoner-esque phone. 1967, my favorite TV show. They end that show with a saying, "Be seeing you."